So Steve, let us know what this system is all about. What's this team effort going to accomplish for guys?
So effectively, it's going to accomplish a lot of things. Primarily, which is the reason we come to work every morning, is to make more money.
Right.
Get more clients, upgrade the quality of clients, upgrade the sources of business. What we're doing here is nothing new in my world. My world started a long time ago, 30 plus years in this business. At the beginning, we never had our investment licenses. We got our investment licenses by default. We never wanted them, we were professionals, but at some point, the industry demanded it. The industry, the clients effectively said, if you can't do it all, we'll find somebody that can. So here we were charging fees, and the next thing you know, we're getting fees plus commissions. And what that did is that taught us how the investment business works best in the qualified plan world. And effectively what we've seen over 1,000,000 years, not to reiterate, is that the investments don't matter that much. They only matter if there's so much difference between one or the other, which we've already established there's not. Okay? So we flourished for 1,000,000 years in this business. We flourished in the investment world knowing a whole lot less about investments than almost everybody else we meet. So we know less about investments, but since the money is going to professional money managers at mutual funds, that's fine. That's where these plans should be. Okay? When an employee is directing their investments, they should direct them into traditional type mutual funds. So at the end of the day, how much we know about investments is not relevant. What's relevant is the client's perception that what we're doing and where that money's going is a quality place for money. So what you get out of this business is you start learning the technical side. You start learning the tax side. You start learning what the client, the CPA, and the attorney are interested in hearing from you. And they're not interested in hearing about your growth or balance fund. They could care less about your target date funds. They don't care if it's John Hancock or ING or Principal. They don't care who it is. What they care about is if they're going to refer you business, that you are going to take care of their clients are going to come first. When you approach it from the technical side, from the tax side, you will get business. The accountants will start looking at you as a resource for questions related to these plans. The attorneys will look at you the same way. The client will look at you as a technical professional instead of my investment guy. You'll stop competing for business by saying my thing's better than your thing for any number of stupid reasons. And effectively in this business, if you start adding a few plans per year, if you can put together 10 plans a year for 5 years, there is no question in my mind that at 35 to 50 basis points, you'll be earning $500,000 to $600,000 a year on top of your current earnings. And by the way, 10 plans a year is not a full-time job. 10 plans a year is a part-time job. And at a part-time level, to generate that level of income, we believe that a small handful of you will say, this is where I want my career to change to. I want to be in this business for real, and those types of people will be the partners we're seeking. The rest of you, you will still do your plans. You will still make your money. You will just have made some commitment less than a total commitment, which is fine.
Tell us, Steve, every advisor wants to get referrals from CPAs and lawyers, every one of them. And the CPA and lawyer hear from 30 advisors a month. They're all their buddies. Tell us why this system is going to help that advisor stand out above the rest so that it's not the same argument this guy is having against all 29 other people looking for that referral.
Sure. And the reality of getting referrals from other professionals before anything else, and you'll see this in the course, is you better put yourself in a position to refer them business. Because you're not paying them for business, that's illegal. The only way to develop a relationship with other professionals is, number one, to be the absolute best, most technical person, and number two, I'd be kidding you if I didn't tell you, you have to refer them business. So let's take a typical client. Let's take a tiny little client, a two-doctor medical practice with 3 nurses, okay? And you got that client through some other means aside from a referral. And now we're working on the plan. And now we revise their current plan. We add a second-tier plan on top of it. The doctors are thrilled. Okay, we start looking at their personal insurance, their wills, their trusts, their estates. Next thing you know, things aren't exactly perfect. You say to the doctor, you know what, I need to bring in somebody else to look at this part of it. They're happy to look at it for a fee, and if you like them, I hope you work with them. And if you don't, at least we'll have gotten your job done. All of a sudden now, you just made an attorney referral. Or you see the same doctor, and he's had the ability to do certain things for 1,000,000 years, and he simply hasn't done it. And the only reason he hasn't done it is his accountant didn't know enough to ask the right questions. And at some point in the process, you're going to say to this client, you know what? Your accountants may not be providing what the level of service you need. Because if I'm seeing holes in your service at the 401k profit sharing level, potentially there's holes at a far deeper level. And so I recommend that we have this person take a look at what you've been doing from a tax perspective. And I'd like to bring in a CPA that I work with that specializes in doctors to actually just take a look at things. You'll pay him for his time. If he feels like there's something to say to you, he will. If not, and everything's fine, he'll walk away. And in one small 2-person, 2-doctor client, you sold the 401k with $2 million of assets. Okay, that's 10 grand in commission at a 50 basis point commission level. You added on a cash balance plan with $200,000 of annual contribution, not to mention the $150,000 of annual contribution to the 401k plan. Not bad so far. You've now taken a look at his personal investments. Probably did some of those, or all of them, I don't know. His life insurance, his disability insurance, his long-term care insurance. You've made an accountant referral and an attorney referral. Whether they get the ultimate business or not, you've given them the opportunity at a new client. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what this business did for you. That's what it's been doing for me for 30 years. People like me, we know how this works. I've been doing it forever. It's a great formula. Accountants and attorneys are wonderful people to get referrals from. There's others. If I had to start over again, I might look more towards property casualty people, because commercial property casualty insurance people have clients that own real estate that has value, so theoretically there's a business there. There's lots of places to get business, and the way to do it has nothing to do with sitting with the accountant and saying my investments are better than your investments.
Right.
It just can't work.
Right. So the system and the team effort, Steve, tell the advisor how we've touched on how much they can create in revenue. Tell them how much they'll elevate their knowledge base so that their perspective, their view or their value in the eyes of those people they're opening those doors to, the lawyers, the accountants, the business owners, the successful executives, the doctors. Tell them how this system and this team approach, piece by piece, is going to elevate their knowledge and elevate their view in the eyes of those key people.
Well, our program itself is going to teach you a lot about plan structure, plan design, some things about law and tax, but the reality is this is a process you have to kind of commit to. You can't expect, and you wouldn't want a course where we've quoted chapter and verse out of the tax code.
Right.
You'll fall asleep.
Real time, real business.
Right. You want real practical scenarios, which is what we've given you on real type clients, none of which are these glorified plans that everybody can make work. These are down-to-earth type clients that are still highly profitable. And what we're doing in the process is we're educating you to a point where you can literally say to some of your best clients, I am aiming in a new direction. I know a certain amount. I've teamed up with strategic partners that are the best in the country. I think you need to look at X. Is that okay if we do that? Now what you've done is you've generated the review. Now along with you, we prepare the review. You do the results of the review are a learning experience for you like you can't get anywhere else. So you will learn from the process of getting the review, the results of the review, and the presentation of the review. And if you do enough of those, you will learn a whole lot. During the process, you will hear key terms. You will see key terms. Google them. See what they are. In our monthly webinars, ask questions about how this makes selling these plans easier, because we use that type of thing all the time. So you give yourself 12, 18, 36 months, whatever it is, within 3 years, you will be great at this, assuming you made the commitment. I'm sure this is going to get cut out of the video, but my son came to work for me October 1st. So on April 1st, he'll have been working for me for 6 months. When he came to work for me, if you asked him what I did, I'm not sure he could explain it. Yesterday, he sat on a webinar from a vendor about defined benefit, cash balance, and fully insured pension plans. It was about a half-hour webinar, and at the end of it, I walked in and I said, so what'd you think? He says, hey, it was kind of basic. I said, wow. I said, kind of basic. I said, 6 months ago, you don't even know, never heard the word defined benefit plan before. And so what I got from that is my son's been here for 6 months. He can relate to pension terms and actuarial type computations in a period of 6 months. And by the way, he's 25 years old and he's not at the point in my office yet where he actually cares that much. So he's working on 70% as opposed to the guy that has to feed his family with this type of business who's working on 120%. And it was astonishing to see what he actually learned in a very short period of time. Could he take it on the street and sell it to other professionals? No, he doesn't have the knowledge yet. But he will, as will everybody else that sticks to this program.
Right.
So you're going to learn slowly, which is the only way to learn something as technical and highly complicated as this. The flip side of it is, just like the flip side of it is for my son, there's a tremendous amount of professionalism in it. There's a limited population that can do what we do, and there's a tremendous amount of money to reward you at the other end.
Which leads us to demand. Before the tax change of this year, we had 28% rates, and you had huge demand. Tell us how much more demand you think advisors are going to face from successful people now that taxes are higher.
For better or worse, I date back in this business to the Reagan years. And when Ronald Reagan became president, he lowered federal tax rates to 28%. And I believe, and I'm sure I'm going to be wrong, but I believe they were close to 50% before that. So we went from 50%, where everybody wants a plan, to 28%, where people question whether it's better to pay tax or not, and not have any plan. And so we were doing study after study, not just at the 28% tax bracket, because if tax bracket stayed at 28% forever, obviously it's worth having a plan. You're saving almost a third of your taxes. But the reality is tax rates were going to increase in the future. So we were doing studies that showed you defer at 28, but you ultimately take out at 50, because that's what people were used to seeing and hearing. And the plan still worked. Did they work as good? No, they didn't work as good. But in the past few years, everybody wants these plans. We've been putting plans in consistently almost forever. Now tax rates go up to, at the end of the day, probably 45 or more % in most parts of this country, and they're knocking down our doors. And they're not knocking down our doors saying, I hate my investments, take over my 401k. They're saying, I'm not getting enough out of my plan, what can you do for me?
She'll be
And so, that's right. So we are redesigning their plan. We are adding on where plans can be added on. We're maximizing allocations to key people. We're doing all kinds of great things. And at the end of the day, whatever investments are part of that plan came along for the ride. I've had clients that had plans with XYZ Mutual Fund, like their guy, but at the end of the day, we redesign the plan. They want to keep everything simple. The guy does other things for the owner of the company, and he's like, just take it over. So we're getting investments in these plans where nothing's been done wrong. Everything's been done right. So from I haven't seen my guy, to I don't like my guy, to my guy really doesn't know what he's talking about, to he keeps trying to sell me new things, to I'm happy with my guy, we're getting all those investments. And that's what we want for the people that join us.